'Cause I was just wondering, we got a lot of movies on our mind. Are you leaving my love behind? Baby, say the word and let me know. You gotta give me something. 'Cause the Brower Brothers podcast going live. Are you leaving my love behind? Baby, say the word and let me go. Baby, say the word and let me go. How's it going, everybody? My name is Wyatt.
And I'm Rhett.
And you are with the Brower Brothers. Welcome back. It's been a lonely week without all of you.
Very lonely.
This week we're going to jump right in. Wrote a lot for the sequel. So
we hope you're ready.
We hope that you are ready. Player one. That's right. That's the movie that we are covering this week. The 2018 blockbuster hit. Over $600 million at the box office.
Directed by Steven Spielberg.
Starring people you might never see again.
Written by people who were probably children.
Maybe. Maybe
At least the dialogue.
This movie is entirely about video games, which we love.
We love video games. If you could see us, you'd be like, yeah, they love video games.
Those guys play a lot.
They play a lot of video games.
So this was especially fun for those of us like my brother and I.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe less fun for parents.
Well, unless they're 80s parents. A lot of 80s references, a lot of video game references, a lot of sci-fi movie references.
You gotta like stuff to like
the
this
movie is just a big reference to everything.
If you're like, man, I'm really just more into like
if
hiking.
you're into reading, you're not gonna like this movie.
I mean, unless you read the book.
No, because I didn't read the book. I never will either.
That's something that we probably should address here on the podcast. If it was a book and there was a sequel to the book, that is so not relevant to us. We don't care.
There is a sequel to the book.
We're not gonna read
and
it.
We don't care about the plot. We didn't look into it.
We didn't look into the book. Apparently, it's different from the movie.
Yeah, because people who read the book review bombed the shit out of this movie because of
apparently it's different.
Oh, it's different than the book. Horrible adaptation.
I read one thing. I read the first sentence of the summary of the book, and I was like, automatically, this is different because he lives in Oklahoma in the book.
Oh, Oklahoma and Ohio.
So different, so important. We're gonna have to cut that. We're gonna have to cut the state slander.
State slander?
Yeah.
No, the whole movie is a string of callbacks and references to other stuff. I mean, it's literally the whole movie. The movie's about hunting an Easter egg, and the movie is full of Easter eggs.
Yeah, like it's overwhelming.
Like right down to weird little details. Like the guns they use are all guns from movies and video games. But like the biggest Easter egg I found is that there's this magic item in the movie called the Orb of Osavox or something. It's like a force field. And that it's transported in the same box that the gremlin is transported in the movie Gremlins.
How do you even like pick up on
that? I read. That's the only one.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that I had to like read to find, because everything else is like, oh, did you know that Steven Spielberg directed the movie? Yes. Yep. And all the other references and stuff I got, it's like, oh yeah, I knew that the gun that H was using was the gun from Halo. I knew that. I play Halo.
How do you even know? Because like the box is so secondary to the gremlin in the movie Gremlins. You have to really watch the movie Gremlins a lot to be like, that's a curious box. Yeah,
that's like the main one I read. But it was like telling that about all that stuff. Like, oh, the Zemeckis cube is from Robert Zemeckis from Back to the Future. It's like, yeah, we know
what.
Artemis.
So that's what that comes from.
Parzival also drives the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Stop it! It's too much.
There was a lot of Back to the Future references.
Yeah, so like if you like things and
if you like stuff and things,
watch this movie.
Watch the movie Ready Player One. Far from perfect. This movie goes strong into my guilty pleasure category to watch, because it's like I watch the movie and half the time I'm just shaking my head embarrassed because of the stuff that's happening in the plot, but I watch it unironically like once every 4 months.
And it's good that we have not given our names and addresses, because this movie has such a cult following that even saying that might get hate.
Yeah, no kidding. People love this movie.
They're gonna burn our house down. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the summary of Ready Player One for those of you who haven't seen it and for those of you who may not like things and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Ready Player One. The year is 2047, and the world has recently undergone some pseudo-apocalyptic events. There is mass poverty, clearly some immense overpopulation, and a sad gray cloud that hangs over everything at all times. All these factors pushed people away from the sucky real world and into the hands of James Halliday with his creation known as the Oasis.
I'm gonna interject some stuff right here. I feel like in a lot of these dystopian movies, they try to like casually throw in historical events that took place between modern day and the time that the movie is taking place.
These were particularly bad.
Well, it happens in a lot.
Embarrassing.
I'm sure we'll cover this movie in the future, but it also happens in Mortal Engines. They do this sort of thing as well.
I can't wait to do Mortal Engines.
That'll be a fun one. So, guys, this is a warning now. Go watch Mortal Engines, and we can revel in its glory.
Yeah. Alita Battle Angel, too.
Yes, absolutely. That's another one. And this one, it was like, oh, yeah, there was the corn syrup droughts.
The bandwidth
riots. And now everyone's just trying to, like, live through the day. My parents died in those times.
But he specifically said these times happened before he was born, and my parents didn't survive those times.
Yeah, so how are you alive?
My mom died before I was born.
My mom ran away before I was born.
Yeah, that's it. It was just like, but let's not
Let's not pull threads yet.
No, not just that, but like the bandwidth riots and the corn syrup droughts. That's just embarrassing. I can't believe that made it into the writing, and then I can't believe that made it into the movie.
Ugh. That made it through several drafts of a novel, several drafts of a film.
Did they think that was funny? Because I just cringed at that. There's a lot of that happens during the watch of this movie.
The Oasis is a massive virtual universe where people can look how they want, be as cool as they want, and pretty much do anything they could ever dream of. It's a gamer's paradise, but also simply a paradise for anyone unhappy in the real world. James Halliday, a socially awkward gamer dude, designed it to be better than the real world. But even when you spend all day in a video game, you still have to abide by the laws of nature. One of those laws is death. After the death of James Halliday, the creator revealed a tournament created entirely on Easter eggs, in which only those who truly understood his life, his interests, and his issues would be able to complete. And there is no greater fan of James Halliday than Wade Watts.
Living in the stacks in Columbus, Ohio, Wade Watts is an orphaned 18-year-old living with his abusive aunt and her boyfriend. His life sucks, which is why he is such a good gamer. Known as Parzival in the gaming world, he is a member of an unofficial group called the Gunters, which is short for Egg Hunters, who are all doing everything they can to win the tournament created by Halliday, the winner of which receives all of Halliday's shares in his own company, $500 billion, and ultimate control over the entirety of the Oasis. And unluckily for the gamer base, bloodthirsty corporations like IOI are doing everything they can to gain access over the business to spread their monetary empire. The IOI players, known as Sixers, all wear the same outfits and have serial numbers on their chests. They take the fun out of the game.
Gunters is another one of those things that I particularly dislike.
Yeah, it was something I really didn't like.
But it was kind of true to gaming culture.
What,
just random
weird
nonsense, rar, like, oh, poggers.
Yeah, that's true. I wish it wasn't part of that.
I wish that weren't for real. Also, when I was writing
IOI stands for Innovative Online Industries.
Thank you. I didn't know.
You didn't know what IOI stood for? That's what it stood for. It's pretty much like just like Amazon, I'm sure. It's just bad corporation. Yeah. Bad corporate.
Big game. Only one clue has been found in 7 years of looking for the keys, and Parzival finds himself at the race every day. The race allegedly holds the first key, but nobody has ever made it to the finish line, as it's designed for people to lose. However, after cracking the code by stalking Halliday's personal files in the in-game library, Parzival returns to the race and wins by driving backwards.
Yeah, Halliday literally recreated his whole life and put it in a database so people could watch it.
Yeah.
And that's how Parzival finds the information needed to beat the first challenge.
Talk about a cry for help.
Dude, Halliday is a disturbed individual.
He's scary.
James Halliday is my favorite character in the movie by far, but he is a disturbed individual.
Yeah. And the clue that he gives in this one, for the first key, isn't even a real memory. It's literally an Easter egg to find the Easter egg. The whole, oh, you got to drive back.
That's another thing.
Really fast.
That's another thing because all his life is like, it's curated too. And there's parts that are taken out and parts that are added in that didn't actually happen. It's fucked up.
And the whole gamer base, at least the Gunters, they are so obsessed with this guy that they determine who's cool and who's not by how much they know about James Halliday.
Yeah, like what's his favorite restaurant? By the way, it's Chuck E. Cheese. That should have been a red
That's
flag
a red
to
flag.
everybody.
That's creepy.
Yeah, that's weird as shit.
If I said that, people would be like, really? Gonna make a note of that one.
After receiving the first key and putting his name on the board, Wade receives the second clue, and after getting familiar with the famous gamer known as Artemis, his adventure begins. The president of IOI attempts to bargain with Parzival, and even learns his real name. After Wade declines working for IOI, the company deems him as a threat, and using illegal terrorism equipment, they attempt to blow up his house and murder him. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Wade wasn't home, so his aunt and her boyfriend and all the people that lived in the building died and blew up and were victims of senseless killing.
Wade is captured by a dude who turns out to be the real-life ally of Artemis, whose real name is Samantha, who he wants to call Sam. She's all insecure about this birthmark on her face, even though she's very attractive. Wade makes the whole situation really uncomfortable, gamer jargon, lame stuff, it's hard to watch. Finally, through their conversations, Artemis has an epiphany and knows where to find the next clue in the world of The Shining.
There's also a really weird dance scene when they're dancing in the game.
Yeah,
and
the
like they
nightclub.
make a big deal to like, so like people, if they buy certain suits to play the game, because it's like these whole like exo suits, it's like VR, but you can also put on a suit to like feel what you're doing, which is definitely like a sex thing.
Yeah, because
like why would you want to feel getting shot in a video game?
Yeah,
but
it's
like
absolutely a gross, disgusting Halliday thing.
because he's a freak.
He is.
Anyways,
He's a
but
monster.
there's
He's
a
not
whole
monster.
big scene where they go to like this dance club to try to find a clue, him and Artemis, and she's
Dancing
like,
is very important in this film.
dancing is really important in this movie. Weird, but she's like, oh, did you come prepared? And it was like all these sex innuendos, and then she's like, they're like feeling each other's junk and
She
stuff
like
during
full on rubs his half chub
yeah
on the dance
in his
floor.
suit, and then it was just weird as fuck. So that was like a really wildly inappropriate.
Gave him a
scene.
half a handy in a PG-13 movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then violence shows up. If I were like a Christian mom, oh no,
David.
This is not it.
The crew are met with spookiness and creepy zombies. However, the true clue is hidden within the ballroom, where they find a ton of zombies dancing with each other. In the ballroom is a girl that Halliday went on one date with, dancing with a zombie. As Artemis makes her way to the woman and asks her to dance, she says, "Do you know how long I've been waiting for you to ask me that?" And the second key is achieved. Only one remains.
This was so scary.
Yeah, because the whole I wanted to make sure to start talking about this after this was revealed.
Yeah.
Because the whole fucking contest is revolved around James Halliday going on one date with a girl.
Yep.
And he like makes and like he is a freak. Like he curates his whole life that's on display for everybody and makes sure to only mention this girl's name once. And by the way, this girl marries his best friend.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but he only mentions her once in the whole, all of the archives, and then the whole thing is revolved around him going on one date with this girl, and she wanted to go dancing, and she wanted to go dancing, so they watched a movie because he didn't want to go dancing.
That's it.
And then they never went on another date, and he never asked her on another date. But like he made this whole this universe dedicated to this woman,
Yes.
where he like would dance with her.
Imagine the amount of intrusion that you'd feel if you discovered that somebody
She's my muse, my flame.
somebody put you in a game, put you in anything where the whole thing revolves around the idea that you are into them. Because it wasn't even like, oh, I like her. What was her name?
Her gamer name was Kira.
Yeah, whatever.
But her real name was something else.
Something
because he
similar.
only referred to her as Kira.
Yeah, but like imagine, because the insinuation is that she wanted to be with him. There's even
In his universe. Not in the real world. He even made a fake picture of them at the ballroom together. That was the clue to find the next key.
That was just horrifying. And like the whole thing was like, oh, The Shining's scary. No,
James
Halliday
Halliday is scary.
Is scary.
He could hurt people.
He might have. But that whole scene was some of the scariest romance I've ever imagined.
He covets. Yeah.
IOI uses more spyware to discover Artemis and Parzival's real-life hideout. And in the eventual raid, they wind up capturing Samantha, aka Artemis. Wade is captured too, but by friends, not foes. The other members of the clan, H, who he thought was a guy but is actually a girl, Daito, and Sho arrive in a van and rescue him. But now it's time to rescue Samantha. So using some information he received earlier in the film, Parzival is able to hack Nolan Sorrento, president of IOI, and figure out where exactly they are keeping Samantha, aka Artemis. But as this is happening, the IOI underlings have discovered the final clue, located on planet Doom. Camping the planet and using force fields and landmines and thousands of soldiers, they're pretty much cheating.
Campers.
Gross.
Let's talk about
Daito and Sho.
The High Five clan real quick. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to unpack with
this. This was some of the goof. One of the first things that he says after the corn syrup riots, after being like, "Hi, I'm Wade Watts," he's like, I don't clan, which is such a cringy thing to say because like being in a clan in video games is like really just a goofy thing. It is goofy.
It's like the people you play video games with, and sometimes people put their clan tags on their video games.
I do.
And like I do too, and because I play video games. And like professional gamers will put like they'll be like big clans that like are invite only like for actual like professional gaming, but it's like it's cringy as fuck.
Yeah.
It is. That's what it is. First point. So then, he made this whole big song and dance about not clanning. I don't clan. And then he's just in a clan, and he starts referring to his clan. Oh, High Five. I'm Parzival of the High Five. And it's like they should have shown when they all were like,
we're the High Five.
They should have all high fived and turned into a clan.
Wow, we should call ourselves that.
Yeah, because all of a sudden they're the High Five.
And also,
they had a whole in Lord of the Rings. They had a whole movie devoted to establishing the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. Awesome.
There could have been at least a sentence in this movie of the establishment of a team. Same with the Avengers. Whole movie establishing them becoming a team.
Probably.
Remember the Titans. A whole movie creating a team. At least a sentence would have been nice.
And like he's like, oh, I don't clan, but here are 3 of my friends that I play video games with exclusively.
And my girlfriend.
Eventually. Yeah, and then the eventual girlfriend.
Also, next added thing, Daito and Sho.
Man, y'all are some racists.
Yeah, the people who made this movie, those characters are introduced. One of them's a samurai. One of them's a ninja. The ninja, he says, what is he? He says,
oh yeah. So one of them's a ninja. One of them's a samurai. The first one says, are they saying
ni hao and arigato?
Yes. Is it arigato or konnichiwa?
One
either
says
way.
Arigato, which is thank you, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then the other one says sheshe.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. One says sheshe and one says arigato because the character of H saves their video game lives.
It's in passing. It's casual.
It's casual. It's there. It's establishing that that should be establishing that one of them's Japanese and one of them's Chinese. And then, but later on, it's proven that they're brothers.
So are they Japanese? Are they Chinese? Or Mr. Spielberg, are they just Asian?
To you, racist?
Yeah.
The only way it's acceptable is if they're one of their parents is Chinese and one of their parents is Japanese.
We did not get into that.
And they did not establish that. They're just like, oh, the Asian brothers.
And also, there's a fight scene with Daito later on where he knows like full on kung fu,
both in the game and outside of the game.
Yeah, like he's not in the game. He's beating the shit out of people with
ninja kicks.
Yeah, with ninja kicks. Wade Watts didn't have that.
He did actually kick somebody.
That was with the gamer harness.
Yeah, Wade Watts did kick somebody when he was hooked up to the gamer harness. But anyways, that's less of a problem to me because a lot of nerds who play video games also did karate. I was one of them.
True.
You were one of them.
Yeah.
But
I didn't do no karate. I did Kwaku-chen. Four Dragons
martial arts. So after helping Artemis to freedom, at least temporarily, the crew sends out a video to the entire Oasis calling on everyone to come to Planet Doom and fight the Sixers. And soon, they do. The battle is futile at first, with the impenetrable force field protecting everything within. However, disguised as a Sixer, Artemis is able to take the bad boy down, allowing a total war to break out in the hellish tundra. It's awesome. There are so many movie references, Mechagodzilla and the Iron Giant fight. It's amazing.
It is. It's awesome.
It's so cool. It's the best. It's the best part of the movie.
The charge into the battlefield was maybe not quite as awesome, but at least in the conversation with the final battle of Narnia, with the forces of Aslan and the white, what's her name, the White Witch.
I don't remember. I wasn't prepared to talk about Narnia.
She's 1/3 of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
But that scene.
Why is it comparable to that? Because that was awesome too.
Well, do you remember it?
As a kid, I would watch that on repeat.
Yeah, the music goes down and it kind of goes in slow motion, and then the forces strike.
Oh yeah, with the high pitch.
Yeah.
And then they hit each other, and it goes back to fast pace with the high action music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a badass. It's what you're saying is this scene was badass.
It's badass. It's Narnia level badass.
Narnia level badass.
Praise Christ. Finally, Parsifal makes it inside and fights his way to the arcade cabinet within. The old console holds the final key, but by the time he gets there, Nolan Sorrento and his goon have arrived as well. The goon is T.J. Miller. Fighting them off, Parsifal and Sho gain the upper hand, but before Parsifal can win the final key, Sorrento uses the Cataclysm, a world-destroying bomb that kills everyone on an entire planet. So he basically kills the entire Oasis all at once. The ultimate game over.
But not for everyone. Luckily for Parsifal, he gained an extra life token from the Curator, the owner of the James Halliday Library, and is resurrected beside the arcade cabinet. Achieving the final key, Wade Watts gains the golden egg and total control over the Oasis.
After Nolan Sorrento is thrown in jail and IOI is shut down, Wade receives his riches and moves to an awesome penthouse in the city. And in order to allow society to focus on the real world, he shuts off the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The end.
Wade Watts, fuck you.
Kind of a dick move, really.
Yeah, he establishes that everyone's life sucks. His life included sucks, so all he did was play in the Oasis.
It's the only way to escape.
And then he tries to be, and like James Halliday, like he gets to talk to James Halliday's soul, because James Halliday obviously uploaded his soul into the Oasis. And James Halliday tells him, like, oh, you still got to live in the real world. Kind of. He didn't even really say that. He's like, it's the only place you can eat.
It's the only place you can get a good meal. I'm going to go be weird with my
I'm going to go hang out with
version.
the kid version of myself now, which was also a profoundly disturbing thing.
We're going to go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. Ooh, so weird. Favorite character, though. Hey,
oh, yeah.
Parsifal, thanks for playing my game. Most quotable thing in the whole movie.
Thanks.
Thanks
for playing my game. No, really, really good performance.
Oh, he did a good job.
Weird character.
Yeah, he's my favorite character in the movie, but he's really fucked up. Really sad character.
Yeah, and the whole way...
It cannot be glossed over that he hangs out in a room with his child self, and they are real, and everybody else in the universe is an AI, is like a character. It's like
it's like
an avatar. But him and his child self that he hangs out with are real people, because he uploaded his soul. He clearly split his soul and uploaded it to the universe.
But no, the whole Wade Watts turning the Oasis off is really
selfish
because
he's a billionaire.
Yeah, worth
he's
$500
billion.
billion.
The richest person on the planet now.
He owns the Oasis.
He got the girl, and like he's like, oh, I turned the Oasis off Tuesdays and Thursdays, and when he says that, like when his voiceover says that, he's making out with his girlfriend.
And you literally met everyone you know in the Oasis.
Yeah, literally everyone you know came from the Oasis, because your parents who died before you were born, and your aunt also died.
Your fault
too.
But he's like, oh, everyone else needs to really focus on appreciating their life.
And he also kind of fucking cheated to get the last key, because how he survived the world-ending Cataclysm blast is he got an extra life token from the Curator. The Curator was the guy who ran the James Halliday Library, and the Curator was fucking Ogden Morrow, James Halliday's partner, who created the Oasis, he's a moderator. He's like an admin of the game. He's allowed to do whatever he wants.
And not only that with the coin, but
He's a developer. That's what it is. Developer. He's a dev. He's allowed. He knows how to. He can cheat in the game.
yeah,
He's literally involved in coding.
yeah.
And
And
he gave Parzival a one of a kind extra life token, probably what would be considered a level 99 artifact, which is a big part of the movie. But that could be a level 100 artifact because I've not seen anything else. Nothing
one
else
else
they talked about protects from death.
yeah, people must have thought he was hacking.
Yeah, and he's able to respawn on the planet with all of his shit and get the last key, which everybody else also figured out how to get the last key because it was broadcast.
And that's not that could be explained away as like that's fair play. What's really cheating is that they all told each other how to win after they got through the course. Because everybody else just had to figure it out on their own. Even the Sixers, which are like the bad guys, they still figured it out.
I'm not going to blame him for that so much. I'm not going to blame him for anything that happened because, I mean, if I would tell my friends, I would help my friends. I would help my friends beat a video games and I would help my friends succeed in real life.
Yeah.
He was doing both.
I let people
And
copy off my homework sometimes, but that's still fucking cheating.
That's true. That is cheating. But still, I'm not going to. I definitely could see how other people competing in the contest would be like, that's fucking not fair.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who famously doesn't clan decided to now clan up.
I'm going to share it.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is PG-13 movies. I'm not like I swear, but like they don't need to just swear for the sake of it because every PG-13 is allowed to say the F word once. They're allowed to say fuck once. And they inexplicably have this scene where this guy yells, "It's fucking Chucky," and a Chucky doll kills a ton of people.
Yeah.
And it's so it's just another level of goof on this movie. It's just another goofy ass scene.
Yeah, I don't know. Has that always been a rule about PG-13 being able to say the F word once?
I don't
because
know.
I feel like they
like
just figured it out within like the last 10 years.
I think like probably like within the last 10, 20 years, they changed the rules of rated R and PG-13s and stuff. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. Because like Jaws used to be rated R and now Jaws is PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I think Jaws is actually PG now.
I don't know.
I guess that's a rule too. Well, this movie is scary and there is a lot of fucked up stuff, but we liked it when we were younger, so we think everyone should be allowed to watch it.
That is one thing that movies, when they get old, like older movies that were rated R are now like PG-13 and stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, PG-13 movies are allowed to say the F word once, but that doesn't mean that they need to or they even should. Sometimes it's funny when you can write it good, do it, but that just was stupid. And why was he British? I don't remember.
Every single other person in the movie was from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah,
and
literally
he was
everybody.
British.
And he was
even
British.
Simon Pegg and the guy who played James Halliday, British actors, were from Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio, but that guy,
He's
British accent.
Yeah, the F word thing is funny. There was a movie that I was watching the other day. I forget what it was. I think it was that new movie that just came out called The Boogeyman. PG-13 horror movie. Never, ever make a PG-13 horror movie.
You go all in.
Yeah.
You make it R.
Have kids sneaking into the theater if you want kids to watch it. But
yeah, don't make it PG-13.
It's gonna suffer
because like they pull punches on violence and on disturbing visuals, and they don't need to swear. Horror movies,
no,
because like The Conjuring that movie's rated R, profoundly fucked up and disturbing and scary.
I don't think they really. Swear
I don't think
that.
there was a one F word said. I don't know.
No, but
I don't know, but there's never.
I'd bet money that there isn't.
Yeah,
at least in the first one. But in that movie, it was PG-13. Awful, first of all.
Bad.
But it was like, okay, the monster we can't really. But no, it should have been R because the first scene, the guy kills himself in the house. But either way, at the end, there's like all these punches pulled.
Doesn't they kill a baby in the first scene too?
A baby is murdered. A man kills himself. Somehow PG-13. But the horror stuff is lacking. But then at the very end, they're like, you know what? She should say the F word. And she tells the monster, which can't talk, go fuck yourself. It's like that. I'm so out of it now. That's just redonk.
and that's kind of
That movie fucking sucks. If you're gonna make a horror movie, there needs to be rules to the universe. That's one thing that movie didn't do. There was no fucking rules. The monster could do whatever it wanted erroneously. They just changed the rules back and forth. Like, oh, it only attacks kids. Psych, it kills adults exclusively. Kids are the only thing that can survive it. So stupid.
It was.
But
It
we're
was
not gonna talk
horrible.
about that movie.
maybe eventually, but probably not.
Yeah, fuck that movie.
Fuck that movie.
I'm gonna swear about.
We're giving our own little movie review because we're mirroring what's about to happen, which is the reviews of Ready Player One.
Yes, this was a big movie, so there's a profound amount of reviews on all platforms about Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a lot of fucking fake reviews. Over the years, the people have been copying. I don't know if it's like the studio planting shit, because it's like copy and pasted reviews about how genius the movie is and how genius Steven Spielberg is.
It's Steven Spielberg.
And it's like over the last like 3 years.
Ooh, I have to
Talking
insert
about,
something.
oh my god, he's fantastic. Word for word, it's the same review.
Steven Spielberg, which is a surprise to me because that last movie I hear, The Fabelmans, was like all about him. But he didn't really have any self-indulgence in this entire
One
movie.
thing, he had the T-Rex from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and he's been involved in a lot of big stuff.
Yeah, there could have been a lot of Steven Spielberg stuff in this movie.
Let me just real
The
quick.
Indiana Jones whip should have been in the movie.
Yeah.
That should have been one part of it. But like, I mean, honestly, all of his stuff should have been in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, you just said one. Jaws, E.T., Schindler's List should not have been in the
Schindler's
movie.
List should have been not in the movie.
Yeah, Jurassic Park was. Ready Player One is one of its biggest movies. Did you know that?
Well, yeah, it was a huge blockbuster.
Saving Private Ryan.
That should have been in it. D-Day World.
I mean, the Close Encounters spaceship, the Goonies boat.
That would have been cool. Review number 1, Kirav Thakkar. Well, I just watched it in 1080p, and I'm kicking myself for missing such a masterpiece in 4DX. Nevertheless, the story is captivating, and Steven delivers the magic once again. A must-watch for video games and sci-fi fans. The win over good versus evil is the center point once again, and the will and the determination to see through one's flaws and admire each other is the biggest strength of this film. For Oasis, for Parsifal, for Artemis, for Daito, for Sho, for H, for James Halliday himself. Game on.
For God's sake.
Max Whitehead. This is by far the most painful experience I have ever had in my life. The movie is the cinematic equivalent of having all your teeth drilled without anesthetic. I'd rather have an open heart surgery in a rat-infested dumpster than suffer through another second of this irredeemable pap. Every precious moment pissed away viewing this movie is one that could be spent more productively, like by stapling your nails to your fingers. I only hope everyone involved in birthing this atrocity finds a way to make peace with their sin, because I fear salvation may be beyond them. 1
Wow.
star.
This dude must not like stuff and things.
He must not like stuff and things. Wow, that was a very intense review.
That was a lot.
Max Lorkin. Too many profanities. Don't let your kids watch this. It said goddamn.
See, I told you, Christian moms don't like this
Christian
movie.
moms would not like this movie. There's the reviews for you.
Yeah, I think that whoever wrote this screenplay, the original author as well, I think they have a very naive and optimistic view of gamer culture. I looked into the author, and he's like 51 years old, so he's like a little bit younger than like parents. So like he grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I'm sure gamer culture was a little bit different back
Fanboy
then.
knows a hater or whatever he said.
Yeah, but like the whole drink tab, play Robotron, listen to Duran Duran. That's not the gaming culture anymore. The fact that there was 0 racial slurs used in this movie proves that they have lost touch with
Yeah, the
most
most
of the
famous
gaming.
gamer in the world, PewDiePie, he was on video saying the N-word.
It's like his
in
favorite
video games.
word.
Yeah, it's
Like-
like his favorite word.
I think he's gotten in trouble multiple times
Yeah.
for multiple different racisms.
Yeah, the whole gamer culture. Xbox Live chat is like a war zone.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that CS:GO is really bad.
Don't even play it. It's bad.
So I guess the whole I feel like
So you're saying that he was too he made an unrealistic universe because he didn't make racists besides the Daito and Sho incident?
I just think that I think that the gaming culture is probably a bit reminiscent of like the original like Pac-Manners, but
maybe there's no racism really, not that much anyways, because everybody's like an avatar. People are their avatars. They're not their human selves.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And I'm not like being like we need more racism.
Why advocate for racism?
I just wish that like if you were gonna do that, if you're gonna keep that sort of gaming culture, I feel like you can't
racism?
No, like the original '90s one, because even outside of the racism, I feel like gaming culture is a lot different than like I don't know anybody that plays video games that also drinks Tab and listens to Duran Duran. I mean, I listen
multiple
to
references
Duran Duran,
and like I listen to 2 Duran Duran songs, maybe one. Hungry Like the Wolf.
Maybe sometimes the Rio one. There.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
I
don't drink Tab. Yuck.
No, I don't even. Who's doing that? You're going out of your way to be a weirdo.
What is Robotron?
Exactly. I don't know.
But this is all because they idolized James Halliday, who was Disturbed.
Yeah, and from the 80s and 90s. But I guess all I was getting at was like, you can't simultaneously keep that and then also have games like the whole Minecraft world was a thing, and like everything was like the world that we live in, or like it still happened.
Yeah, that was, I know what you're talking about, because they jumped from the 80s and like early 90s to now to 2047, and they acted like nothing happened before that except the struggle times.
Yeah,
the corn syrup
bad hard times.
The corn syrup droughts and the bandwidth riots.
And he was born in 2025. 2027?
Yeah, because he was like, or 2020. How old would he be?
No, 29.
He was born.
He was 18. He was 18 at the start of the movie.
So 2029.
Yeah. So that's like pretty close. Oh shit, we're in the middle of the corn syrup droughts.
The bandwidth riot.
It's gonna happen. So yes, more racism, please.
More racism, please. Edit that in.
Now, are you guys prepared for the tempest wind that is our sequel?
But yeah, we know that there's a sequel in the book series. We don't give a shit.
We already said that. We don't care.
Said it.
Sorry. I'm not going to read it. We are going to take the title because we always wanted to call it this. I just learned this morning that the book is called that. So it's like, great minds think alike. This is Ready Player 2. It's been 2 years since Parsifal found the egg, and his real-life persona, Wade Watts, was given control over the Oasis. With a ridiculous net worth, unbelievable celebrity, and all the power in the world, both real and virtual, Wade is on the top of the world. He and Samantha, aka Artemis, are still in love with one another, and the High Five are some of the most influential people on Earth.
Each member of the crew has their own penthouse in downtown Columbus, and Wade even went as far as to buy his own planet in the Oasis. The company has only grown since Wade took over, and due to his partnership with Ogden Morrow, the business is truly run by various executives and business tycoons who know what they're doing. And although he is one of the most beloved people on Earth, especially in the gaming community, Wade has faced a fair bit of backlash.
Not everyone on Earth is worth $500 billion, and the Oasis was more of their real life than the one they are truly living. So being forced to turn off the game 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, has created a great deal of underlying rage and perhaps even resentment from the Oasis players. However, there is a way to get past the restrictions.
As GTA 5 will tell you, hackers have always posed as a problematic thorn in the side of game developers, and can change the very nature of the community as a whole. However, with shit lives and idle hands, those with the technical wherewithal have begun hacking the Oasis in droves.
We enter the bedroom of a 15-year-old boy in 2049 Rochester, New York. The city is in total disarray, poverty has overtaken it, and by the looks of the child's oversized t-shirt, he hasn't eaten in quite some time. On a Discord call with a friend, the two of them covertly hack into the Oasis on a random April Thursday. When they get in, they are shocked to see that the entire universe is empty. They shout down long, vacant corridors to hear their own echoes. They destroy statues and decorations just for the fun of it. They travel from world to world, laughing and joking all the way. Hold on, is this a date? There's something in the eyes of these two teenagers. The tension is palpable. It's nearly midnight, meaning the Oasis will turn back on and the admins could potentially catch them in the act. So as they sit on the sands of the planet known as the Wasteland, an entirely Mad Max-themed planet, they lean in for an online kiss. However, their affections are soon interrupted by terror.
A shadow figure glides behind them. The flames of Gastown extinguished, leaving the wasteland in total darkness. There is silence, but the two teenagers are clearly not alone. Oh shit, they think. It's the admins. As they turn to run, they are left breathless, their throats snagged by the claws of some hellish beast, a hood covering the player's head like a Nazgul or some wayward assassin. They can only see the red glare of their eyes in the darkness. The main teenager, the one from Rochester, looks to his friend as the creature's claws prick and enter their neck. A glowing red venom enters the friend's bloodstream. Their avatar instantly becomes pale, boils growing on their skin and their face, and their eyes begin to glow a slight red as well. The player suddenly sees a large red cloud hovering over the entire planet. Oars of glowing crimson streak across the ground beneath the creature's feet. This is no admin. This is not even a player. It must be a...
Too late. The claws of the creature enters the player's throat, and they quickly share the same fate as their friend. Wade Watts wakes in his silk sheets on his double king sex bed as the Columbus sun graciously serenades him. He stands, naked, and makes his way into the kitchen to pour himself some orange juice. However, as he drinks from the jug, he sees flashing from within his gamer goggles across the table. There's a message. There are a lot of messages. Wade quickly sits down in his gaming chair, the coolness of the morning causing him to shiver a bit as he logs onto the Oasis completely naked. There's crisis in the far corners of the universe. There are reports of hackers, looters, and worst of all, evidence of malware on the wasteland. The entire planet is in a constant state of error. Nobody can come in or out, and there are reports of bugging in even the domains neighboring the region. The people are scared and mad, and Parzival is the only person that can quell the angry mob. Vowing to solve whatever problem the Oasis is facing, James Halliday's champion assembles his clan, the High Five, and climbs aboard the RLS Legacy, H's most recent purchase, and fly into the outer reaches of the galaxy.
It is a strange trip. The vibe is overall casual. After all, the High Five just essentially took over the planet, destroyed the biggest company ever, and became kings of various thrones. A technical difficulty should be an easy enough mission. However, Wade feels as though there is something off. There is a lot riding on this mission. As the new owner of the Oasis, he is responsible for the joy and happiness of billions of people. If he messes up, they could look at him as a failure. Finding himself caught in an emotional snare, Parzival looks into his inventory, scrolling until he finds the golden egg. After going into his cabin, he pulls the egg from his pocket and enters its gilded shell. Within the egg, he is in the control room of all of the Oasis, the bedroom of young James Halliday, and sitting on the bed beneath a Rush poster is none other than James Halliday himself.
The two share a brief, awkward conversation in which the emotionally unavailable Halliday is incapable of quelling the tensions of his apprentice. In fact, Wade feels more pressure the longer he speaks with the game's creator, and although it's a strange relationship the two have, it's one that Wade has immense gratitude for. He never had a father, and in many ways, Halliday plays a large paternal role in the life of the 20-year-old orphan. But unfortunately for the two, their meeting is cut tragically short as the legacy is rocked with shelling from the wasteland.
Parzival exits the eggs to see that terrestrial cannons from Warhammer 40k have been set up along the planet's western hemisphere. H weaves in and out of the debris of various ships that have already met their doom at the hand of the gunmen below. Wade quickly takes note of the red aura that has overtaken the planet, a sort of cloud of miasma and woe. Springing to action, Daito and Sho man the Legacy's cannons and do their best to return fire. However, it isn't looking good. They need to make it onto the surface of the planet. So Parzival and Artemis decide in order to spare the lives and coins of their clan, they will halo jump to the wasteland below. Sporting the astronaut suits from Interstellar, the two leap off the side of the ship, falling through the stars, dodging explosions and the guns below.
The atmosphere is hot and sick. Parzival and Artemis experience immense pressure as they fall further and further down into the wasteland. However, soon they land atop the sand, which pulses slight red from beneath their feet, almost like a heartbeat. They've never seen anything like this. However, before they are able to get a full analysis, the two lovers must dodge wayward gunfire as a band of miscreants charge toward them. Riding in spike-covered Mad Max vehicles, they seem to be the inhabitants of this planet. However, each one has become a sickly pale, covered in boils and with a light glow in their eyes. Among them is the avatar from the teen from Rochester and his friend. There is no emotion in their eyes as they fire weapons at Parzival and Artemis.
With no cover in sight, the two have to act fast. Thankfully, Artemis is a pro gamer. Quickly diving into her inventory, she conjures a pair of speeder bikes. With camouflage to match the forest moon of Endor, they stand out in the desert of the wasteland, but style is not the utmost importance at this moment. Mounting the sci-fi bikes, they glide across the sand, hooligans in hot pursuit. The two pull out a couple of moves from the film itself, slamming on their brakes and opening fire on their attackers, causing mass destruction of those before them. It's awesome for the heroes, but also kind of sad to watch the teenage avatars vaporize into a pile of red glowing coins. Artemis moves to collect the loot, but Parsifal stops her. There's something off about everything here, he says. And, conveniently punctuating his claim, a shadowy figure emerges from a nearby crater. Their form is not fully revealed to you and I, but Parsifal and Artemis look on in horror.
With a low growl and a maniacal speech about the withering away of the Oasis, seemingly to hold a lot of resentment not towards Parsifal but against Wade Watts himself. The creature hits the button of a detonator, causing the ground beneath them to rumble and quake. Parsifal and Artemis draw their guns, Parsifal using a Star Trek phaser, set to kill, and Artemis toting Destroy All Humans Zap-O-Matic. But their efforts are meaningless. Their ammunition falls through the creature's husk as it turns into a cloud of red dust, blowing away with the wind.
Things aren't great. There's clearly a villain, the wasteland is overtaken by some sort of virus, and as we speak, the heroes are caught on the surface of a collapsing planet. As mountains crumble, the Thunderdome sinks, and the sky swirls with a vortex of disaster, Parsifal and Artemis run for their lives. It looks as though they aren't going to make it. However, as the core is revealed and gravity quits, chunks of the once planet hang in space like a staircase to heaven. Charging up the steps, the two leap out into space as the core of the planet implodes behind them. Luckily for them, they land on the deck of the RLS Legacy. The solar sails glow with power as the ship hauls ass out of grasp of the black hole. Parsifal looks on in horror as the world crumbles and disappears into nothing behind him.
The front page of the paper shows the face of Wade Watts, skewering him as Halliday's greatest mistake. The world is furious and afraid. There's a rogue virus on the loose, and the so-called High Five lost the fight against it. If they can't defeat it, who can? Mass virtual lootings and riots begin in the game, with the crowds turning on each other in order to gain quick coin, making as many purchases as they can before the entire Oasis is destroyed. It's anarchy. And as the people destroy each other, something out there is destroying the very fabric of their new reality. The members of the High Five know that they should be tackling this problem with their publicists and marketing team, but until they eliminate the virus, they will be simply incapable of saving face, so they have to develop a game plan.
Luckily for her friends, Artemis found a clue. After taking out the group of goons, she was able to snag a few of their coins. Yes, this was foolish, considering that Parsifal suspected malware attached to them. However, since she never put it in her inventory, nor did she attempt to make purchases with the faulty cash, she was able to avoid any serious glitching. But for whatever reason, all of these red coins have something in common. They all come from the same treasury on the Disney World.
Being home to hundreds of millions of avatars a day, the Disney World is a land of joy and wonder, equipped with all of Disney's various monopolized universes. Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Muppets, it's fantastic. If the virus were to spread to the Disney World, the entire Oasis could fall in a single night. Rushing onto the Legacy, the High Five blast off and make their way to the Disney World. Equipped with roller coasters, various film characters, and wonder, the planet is usually a magical place to spend an afternoon, but they're too late. The red miasma hangs in the air and a crimson aura glows underfoot. As they land on the surface of the planet, they see overturned cars, broken windows, and desolation. There is nobody to be found.
The High Five walks in silence down an empty street, their weapons drawn. Artemis holds Sting from Lord of the Rings. Daito holds on tight to a Halo energy sword. Sho carries a Minecraft diamond sword as H sharpens the blade of Thor's Stormbreaker. As they walk down the street, Parsifal sees the spire of the nearby Magic Kingdom breaching the red clouds. That's where the treasury is, he says, as they all begin their journey towards the spire. However, as they move down through the town, H accidentally steps on a loose twig, causing a loud snap. Artemis quickly realizes that her sword is beginning to glow blue. A rumble can be felt as the percussion of millions of footsteps emerge from the shadows. Soon they see a horde of pale, boil-filled avatars charging towards them. Ordinary players wearing Mickey Mouse ears, famous characters such as Goofy covered in sickness, vomiting all over himself as he wildly waves his deranged arms around.
Oh no, it's Disney adults. The High Five bolt towards the castle, the swarm of sickness soon catching up to them. Parsifal pulls Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber from his belt and the blue blade fires from the hilt. Each member of the crew swings their weapons wildly, eliminating countless corrupted souls as they leap upstairs, dodge incoming attacks, and get ever so closer to the castle.
The glow of their blue weapons is nearly overshadowed by the limitless red wave. But the castle is so close, they can see the drawbridge hugging the side of the castle wall, the moat filled with doomed souls. Parsifal hacks away at more and more attackers as tears stream down his face. This is it, he failed. The cries of the wicked bounce around in his eardrums as a sort of taunt. Laughing in the face of the fallen hero, however, soon their taunts are replaced by 3 words.
Fusroda!
Sho lets out a cry of the Dragonborn as a wave of power emerges out of his mouth. The wicked are blown back in droves, a lot of them dying on impact with the blast.
There's no time to thank the 13-year-old pro gamer. Instead, they attempt to make their way into the castle. H pulls out the Batman grappling hook and pulls herself onto the wall. Daito hops onto a silver surfboard and glides into the air. Sho straps himself into the jetpack Joyrider, and Artemis hops inside a pink bubble like Glinda from The Wizard of Oz. Parzival looks through his inventory, but he's not seeing anything that can help. The hordes are getting closer and closer, sprinting at him with all their worth. He scrolls and scrolls, but there's nothing. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, he sees something wiggle from beneath a fallen pillar. A carpet of purple and gold moves and writhes, its back corner caught beneath the weight of the pillar. It's the flying carpet. Artemis draws his lightsaber and slices the pillar in half, allowing the carpet to break free from its clutches and escape.
Parzival leaps onto the carpet and takes off into the sky. It's a whole new world of death and destruction. Parzival sees as hordes of corrupted fall in droves into the moat of the Magic Kingdom. They land on the other side of the wall, where the uncorrupted inhabitants have created a fortified shelter. Mickey Mouse and the rest of the gang hold spears and wear medieval armor. The high five are sort of skewered by the inhabitants of the fort, and are blamed by Mickey Mouse for the downfall of his world. But there is no time for the blame game. They need to get into the vault, and when they open the golden gates, they are met with a surprise. An empty, cavernous room. The lock has been tampered with, and there are clear signs of hacking. Whoever they are dealing with has taken every penny from the richest domain in the Oasis, leaving nothing behind but a note. Got you.
Suddenly, Daito and Sho are hit with clubs, falling to the ground. A net is thrown over H, and the eyes of Mickey Mouse and company glow red. The shadowy figure emerges from the darkest corner of the vault, laughing as Parzival and Artemis are swarmed by his minions. Whack! They fall unconscious. Parzival wakes with a start, his face pressed against the cold stone floors of a dungeon. His hands are bound, and to his terror, his inventory is entirely empty. The only thing that remains is the golden egg, which literally cannot be taken from his pocket. He's alone in the cell. And despite his calls for Artemis, H, Daito, and Sho, all that he hears in response is his own echo. Soon, however, the door of the cell swings open, and Parzival hesitantly walks out of the cell and down the corridor, which takes him through a tunnel, a light shining at the end of it. As he steps out into the sunlight, however, his gut sinks to the ancient floor. Parzival sees that he is standing in the center of the Roman Colosseum. Hundreds, if not thousands of fans cheer from the stands, but they aren't corrupted. They seem to simply want to watch the downfall of Parzival.
Speaking into the microphone and standing on a hovering platform is the shadowy villain of the Oasis. This is the first time we have gotten to look at the creature. His top half is similar to that of a man, his face covered with a black hood, casting an eternal shadow over the player's face. His hands are sharp and claw-like. The remainder of his body is that of a centipede, long and exoskeletal and disgusting. His little legs move about the platform as he talks to the adoring fans. They have made it to the main event, the battle of a lifetime, as the one and only dictator of the Oasis faces off against his own clan. People around the world lost everything the day he won that egg. It's time he sees what it feels like to be like everybody else. It's time to bring out his first opponent. Will Parzival lose his life, or will he lose his friend?
The doors of the arena swing open as H walks in before the crowds. She is stoic and unfeeling as her red eyes scan her environment. Parzival shouts to her, but she doesn't reply. He declares that he will not fight his friend. The gamekeeper says, "Oh, that's fine. The people outside will be happy to take care of Halliday's little champion." Parzival looks to a jumbotron in the corner of the room to see millions of infected souls attempting to get inside and eat his brain. A tear streams down Parzival's face as he says an apology to H under his breath. He's ready to fight. Let the games begin.
A fanfare of trumpets blast into the air as the Colosseum begins to quake and rumble. It's moving. Floating into the air, the battlefield flies into the sky. Various platforms emerge from the ground and float into the air as well. It's a massive fighting game style setup. Mario loot boxes appear scattered around the map, and Parzival begins to take labored breaths. A countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, fight.
The crowd screams in anticipation as Parzival and the corrupted H charge into the center of the arena. Parzival's plan is simple: defeat H without killing her, preventing his best friend from losing everything she's ever worked for in this game. But this proves to be a bit more difficult than he thought when the giant, buff H pulls a large whack-a-mole mallet from the Mario box. Parzival gets a banana peel. Great. Throwing it over his shoulder, he dodges the incoming attack of H's hammer, leaping to another nearby platform. The fight is a bit of a cat and mouse, with Parzival doing his best not to hurt his friend. However, after a while, there's no choice. He begins the offensive, punching and kicking his friend repeatedly, leaping over hammer swings and doing his best to subdue the hulking corrupted H. And to his surprise, he soon gains the upper hand. But not for long.
Leaping to a nearby platform, Parzival does not see the yellow and brown banana peel laying ever so delicately on the floor beside him. Slipping on his own trap, he falls to the ground, H standing over him. The crowd cheers in joy as they see Parzival fall. H holds their hammer overhead, about to smash Parzival, and the champion is about to escape the clutches of his zombified friend. Until he stops. He looks to the crowds, the Grandmaster. There's something off here. Instead of running or fighting, Parzival closes his eyes and allows the hammer to crush him into a pile of coins. The crowd goes nuts. Parzival is dead, and laying at the top of his coins is Halliday's golden egg. The crowds rush the center of the arena, picking up whatever they can, with the villain slithering in to grab the egg.
Wade Watts pulls the goggles off of his head and hyperventilates. He rushes into the other room looking for Samantha, aka Artemis, and sees his girlfriend in her gaming setup. However, her face is expressionless, her movements robotic, and glowing through the goggles is the red aura of corruption. She's trapped in the game. Everyone is. If he turns it off now, her soul could get trapped in the game forever. Go with it.
There's only one man that Wade knows to talk to about this massive problem, and that is the game developer himself, Ogden Morrow. Rushing into the headquarters of the Gregarious Games, Wade tells Ogden, Simon Pegg, of the disaster that is occurring in the game. The villain must have been a gunter. He lost everything the day that Parzival won the tournament. The people don't adore Wade. They hate him. And he lost the egg, but the villain won't destroy the Oasis. It's the only thing they've ever loved. It's their world now, but the real world is run by multi-billionaire Wade Watts, and they have a hacker to find.
After a scene that we've cut for time, Wade Watts discovers the name of the hacker, who we learned was one of the highest competitors in all of Halliday's competition. In fact, he was the first one to discover a clue of any kind, leading the world to the initial race at the beginning of the first film. He deserved the victory, at least over the likes of H. Daito Sho and Artemis. Parzival cheated, insider trading information with its clan in order to help the virtual rich get richer. It's not fair. The person in charge of all this conflict is none other than a gamer known as Menelaus, the sixth-place competitor of Halliday's tournament. And with that information, it's time to hack the hacker.
Using his powers as the head of Gregarious Games, Wade finds the gamer known as Menelaus and discovers that he lives, you guessed it, in Columbus, Ohio. In fact, he lives in the stacks. All this time, this player was a next-door neighbor to Wade. They can see into each other's homes from the windows. At least they could when Wade wasn't a bazillionaire. So close to glory, so close to reaching his dreams, yet Menelaus lost to some other kid in the stacks. If there was a god in this cruel universe, he clearly despised Menelaus. But upon further inspection, there's even more shocking news. The real-life player Menelaus, Stephen Hertz, is deceased.
Telling Ogden Morrow to send the police to the stacks to find whoever is running the Menelaus account, Wade Watts makes his way into the Oasis for a final showdown. Creating a new avatar, he enters the universe as a level 1 noob. Wearing basic default clothes, he makes his journey to his old home, the planet that he created all for himself. As he climbs the golden staircase to his epic mansion, he realizes how this may have come across to those that despised him. Knocking on the gates, which once said Parzival, Wade, whose character name is just New Player now, waits for the door to open. And after a moment, they do. There to greet him are all of his friends, corrupted and boil-ridden, and at the end of the crowd, finally, Menelaus himself. As the gates open, he sees his mansions and properties burning, a bona fide grief in progress. Menelaus doesn't want Wade's riches or his power. He just wants him to have nothing. It's time to end this. Wade challenges the hacker to a showdown, 1v1, mano y mano. And to Wade's surprise, Menelaus accepts.
Meeting in the Wild West world, the two square off. Menelaus gives a speech about how meaningless Wade's worthless existence truly is, about how outside of this game he has nothing and nobody. Where are his friends? Where is his precious girlfriend? Menelaus took them from him, just like Wade did to him. The battle begins. The fight is epic and legendary, and using all sorts of pop culture weapons and references, it serves as the combative soul of the very universe they are battling over. Each one outdoes the other with their fandom, their awareness, and their gaming prowess. It is just awesome enough to distract Menelaus as police make their way towards his house.
As the battle is streamed everywhere across the Oasis, people watch in anticipation. Parzival's back! He has nothing in his inventory, but he's winning. In the middle of the fight, Wade calls Menelaus by his real-life name. "You don't have to do this, Steven," he says. Menelaus loses his shit. "Don't say that name! Don't you ever say that name!" he screams as he fights with all he has.
Menelaus tackles Wade to the ground, and the two grapple with one another. Wade dodges various attacks with his opponent's centipede tail, which is equipped with a massive stinger. Finally, Wade is able to throw the bug off of himself.
Wade knocks Menelaus onto his back, his centipede legs squirming about as he attempts to regain his footing. Holding the mallet that H used to kill him just hours ago, he prepares to squash the bug. But as Menelaus braces for impact, the hammer falls to the ground beside him. Wade has won, and he has also shown mercy. There's no denying it. The people have regained their respect for the gamer. The revolution of Menelaus has failed. So in a last-ditch effort of evil, the centipede pulls the egg from his pocket, and in the blink of an eye, gold light overtakes him and his avatar as he enters the egg. Wade tries to stop him, leaping toward the egg just as the vortex pulls the villain within. And as he holds onto one of the little centipede legs, Wade is pulled in as well.
Landing onto the carpet floor of James Halliday's bedroom, the two throw a few punches at one another, each one moving towards the Oasis emergency shutoff button. Menelaus intends to destroy the world, but before he can, he is stopped by the voice of James Halliday himself. "Cool avatar," he says, awkwardly standing in the corner. His t-shirt tucked into his jeans, no belt. Menelaus pauses, looking at the ghost of the most famous man on the planet. He is taken back, essentially looking into the eyes of God himself. James Halliday is alive? There is a classic sappy Wade Watts moment where he talks about how the Oasis isn't about how many kills you have or coins you collect. It's a game that everyone is meant to enjoy.
Menelaus knows that. He didn't even care about the stupid game. He was a soccer player, and a damn good one too. But it was more than just a game for his brother, the real owner of this account. Menelaus even explains that his brother was a super fan of Parsifal's. He never shut up about him, even tried to clan up with the famous Gunter, but Wade declined. He doesn't clan. Look how long that lasted.
Wade is struck with a memory. He remembers the hooded character asking to clan with him, but in those days he just had human legs. Wade asks how his brother died, to which Menelaus reveals that it was an explosion at the stacks, the explosion that was caused by Wade Watts. His brother died that day, and his life was forever changed. The Oasis never brought any good to the world. It destroyed it, and to Wade's surprise, Halliday agrees with Menelaus.
The Oasis did destroy the world. It gave people an option to elect not to participate in reality. That's why Halliday created it. And although it served as a safe haven for the socially disconnected developer, it allowed him to run away from his feelings, his relationships, and his life. He wasted his life and the lives of people all around the world with a silly game.
This scene is overcut with the police and Ogden Mora busting down the door of the Stack apartment, charging into the apartment to find a young man sitting in a makeshift gaming chair. Ogden's eyes grow wide as he sees the individual responsible for all the carnage that has befallen the Oasis.
Tears fall down Menelaus' face as he shakes his head. The button to destroy the Oasis, the game that ruined the world and took his brother away from him, and an arm's length away. Wade puts his arm on the centipede's shoulder. He gives another mushy speech, telling him how unbelievably sorry he is for what he has done to him, and countless others across the world. But to some people out there, this is the world. It would destroy so many lives if the Oasis were to go away. They'd have nothing and nobody. Then they'd see how it feels, Menelaus says, eyeing the button once more.
But you're not nobody, he says. Your name is Paul. You're from the Columbus Stacks, just like me, Wade assures him. And he doesn't have nobody. He has a clan. From this day forward, they will no longer be the High Five. They are now the Sick Six. And that's just in the Oasis. In the real world, he has a friend as well.
Pulling off his goggles, Paul sees the back of a van, the doors of which opening to reveal Wade Watts, dressed to the nine in his gaming suit. Wade takes off his goggles and approaches Paul, who is confined to a wheelchair. The night his brother died, he was home as well. He might not have lost his life, but he lost his legs in the explosion, taking away his dreams of playing soccer. With his aspirations stripped and his brother killed, he decided to enter a world where he could walk again, a place that reminded him of his nerdy older brother. And as he got better and better at the game, he realized how much destruction he could cause if he put his mind to it. He would take everything from the person that did this to him and destroy the whole Oasis if he had to. Seeing the real-life evidence of Wade's escapades of action, violence, and tomfoolery, he understands the error of his ways.
Wade decides not to press charges against the one known as Menelaus. And after the virus was cleansed from the game and everybody was given their coins back and respective possessions, the virtual world was set straight. However, people across the world still felt a bit left out and overlooked by the victory of Wade Watts and his subsequent victories. So holding a press conference outside of Gregarious Games, CEO Wade Watts took his previous decision a step further. Instead of running the Oasis with his clan and owning all of the stocks himself, he has since decided to make Gregarious Games a public corporation, meaning that anyone on Earth can own their own little chunk of the Oasis.
But that's not all. Using his immense wealth, Wade Watts gave back to his community, turning the Columbus Stacks into a place where anybody would want to live. And although he can't bring back Paul's brother, he can make a step in the right direction. Step, the key word. Using the tech capabilities at Gregarious Industries, Wade partnered with Medline Industries to develop an affordable cybernetic engineering firm, helping people like Paul walk again.
He may not be as rich as he once was, but Wade Watts has now made the Oasis and the real world a better place.
The end.
Interior Oasis, Thursday night. After a flash of purple light, two gamers step inside the virtual world, looking around at its majesty. They have entered the Citadel, the spawn point of all players in the entire universe. The large hall is hundreds of levels high, with several bridges and walkways that are typically filled with countless players and characters. Today, however, it's empty.
Whoa.
This is Uber Pug.
Their voices echo.
Say that again.
Poggers.
The cringe echoes around the massive building and the avatars laugh hysterically. The two look at each other, a spark of wonder and perhaps romance in the eyes of their avatars. One is short, green, and goblin-like, and the other is covered in sci-fi armor not unlike Darth Vader, but with large deer antlers on their helmet. Montage begin. Classic rom-com music plays as the two players jump from planet to planet. In the underwater kingdom of Atlantis, they throw jellyfish at one another, knocking over relics and artifacts in their wake. On the roller coaster tycoon world, they each ride their own personal amusement rides. They walk through the Oasis Zoo, looking at the various animals from both real life and movies. As they gaze at the Wampa from Star Wars, their hands slightly touch. The moment is tense and awkward, and I dare say, beautiful. They smile at one another as they skip out of the zoo's exit. We see the gates of the enclosures all have been opened and the animals walk freely. Finally, the pair sit on the sand, leaning against Max Rockatansky's V8 Interceptor, the last of its kind, staring over the apocalyptic wasteland. The fire stacks from Gastown burning like a candle and illuminating the glow of their budding love.
Hey, Ponebone69?
Yeah, XX underscore Quinn NFN fan underscore XX?
I wish that it could be just the two of us more often.
XX Quinn NFN fan XX avoids eye contact with Ponebone after saying something so bold. Through his helmet, it's clear that he's blushing.
I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. No homo.
No, homo. I feel the same way about you.
Their hands slide in the sand until their fingertips gently touch. They quickly pull away, but after a moment allow their fingers to intertwine with each other.
Hey, X,
Yeah, Ponebone?
can I, see what you look like with your mask off?
You won't like what you see.
You're wrong. I totally like everything about you. I'd give up my clan for you.
You don't mean that.
I do, I swear.
X squeezes Pone's hand a little bit tighter before pulling away, moving to pull his helmet off. However, in a flash, the two avatars are in the dark. The stacks of Gastown have been extinguished. Something lurks in the shadows.
What the heck?
Oh no, it's the devs!
X, I can't see you.
What's that smell?
Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet begins to slightly glow a malevolent red. The light is just enough to show two pairs of legs and the partial exoskeleton of a massive arthropod. Light clicking can be heard, the sounds of some hellish beast.
Pone! Run!
Before XX Quinn NFN fan XX can finish their sentence, they are lifted off the ground. His helmet clatters on the sand by Pone's feet. The red glow from below shines brighter and brighter as Ponebone looks upon the writhing feet of his friend.
X!
In a strobe, we see a flash of X's face for the first time. It is drained of all color and covered in boils as the claws of the creature breach the skin of his neck. In a sort of venom-like projection, a red ooze can be seen glowing from within X's skin. As it travels into his veins and is pumped through his body, his eyes glow red.
No.
The claws grab Ponebone, silencing his screams as the pulsating lights go out.